We have loads of advice, right? Some is going to be good, some is going to be not useful. It's like you take it with a grain of salt. You take what you like and leave the rest. You try something for a while and it works really well. That's great. And then you move on to the next thing because it's not always going to be perfect and it might not work that way. But I just want to tell you that I promise you, you are doing better than you think you are. In all of those ways that you feel overstimulated and overworked and stressed out, it's because you are working on being a good mom. It is because you care so much, because you love those little spirits so much and you want them to be good and you want them to have everything that they need. And that is a testament to every mom that is listening here today. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode was actually inspired by one of our My Essential Birth mamas from the birth course. And she posted, without giving all of her information, she posted in the Facebook group asking, you know, I'm a young mom. I've got a couple of children. I'm feeling overwhelmed and like touched out by the time that my husband gets home. Is this normal? Like overstimulated, overwhelmed, just like I want to be nice to my kids. I want to be nice to my husband. This is what is happening. Is it normal? And what was awesome about it was there was just a flood of moms that were like, oh my gosh, like I'm with you. I see you. I get it. And yes, it's normal. Right. But just like so much good advice came from that we were like, we have to get this information out to the masses. So we reached out to some of our moms that had really great advice and we asked them to share it with you today. So, with that, that is what this episode is all about. And I hope it's really encouraging to every mom out there because you are not alone. This is totally just part of momhood. So, please enjoy.
Hi, my name is Chelsie Mihawk. I am a mom of six. My kids are aged 17 to 2. The most useful piece of advice that I have ever received is probably just like don't sweat the small stuff. As a mom of any amount of kids, like we have a lot of things that we are juggling all the time, like the house, the kids, cooking, cleaning. Like we have this mental checklist running through our head 24/7. So the things that are not that important, I have convinced myself not to stress about them. When my kids, my oldest were little, like we wouldn't leave the house unless they were like head to toe, like done up, hair fixed. Now my youngest looks homeless most of the time because at the end of the day, if she wants to wear a princess dress or Halloween costume from years, if she wants to wear that and slippers when we leave the house, it's not hurting anyone. It's not like just don't sweat it. I just let them wear it. She's happy and it's not hurting anyone as much as I would love for my house to be spotless 24/7. That's just not a season of life right now. And I'm okay with that. I've come to terms with that. So yeah, I let my kids play if they're happy and what they're playing with is making a mess, like kinetic sand, for example. I despise it, but my kids will literally play with it for hours. Kinetic sand with like some little figurines, they're happy. They play like search and find, like but it makes a huge mess. But it vacuums up easily. So I just know that like they play and then when they're done or at the end of the day when they're in bed, we can just vacuum it up. Don't stress the small stuff. Like in the grand scheme of things, those little things like they don't matter. They just don't. I'm not really sure that I've like ever received advice that I have hated. I guess unsolicited advice in general is just like not welcome most of the time, but normally it's given by well-meaning people. So you kind of just kind of have to nod and say like, okay, yeah, thank you. Like, don't take it to heart. No one's been in your particular situation. Every child is different and every family is different. Everybody's needs are different. So you just kind of have to like keep that in the back of your mind because it's inevitable that you're going to receive unsolicited advice as a mom. So also people like to always say, oh, you're misfit, they're only young ones. And like, well, that's true. It's not great to hear that when you're like in the thick of it and you're struggling. Like it doesn't make it any better. So like I said, you just gotta like, yeah, okay, thank you. Just in one ear, out the other. I'm really lucky, I guess. Hopefully everyone is that they have a husband or a partner who is super involved and loves to help with the kids. My older kids do sports, so my husband handles that. He's their coach, so he gets to do that. One day every weekend, he always lets me go out by myself and do whatever, even if it's just like walk around Target for an hour and a half and not even buy anything. So it's nice. I need to like have time to myself to decompress, and that is how I get that.
I give myself time during the day. That's usually nap time for my little one. Whenever he's asleep, I just give myself a little bit of time to either pursue my hobbies or take a nap or do whatever I need to do for myself, and then saving chores for when the little one is awake or when my husband is home. So that way I feel like I'm still being seen that I'm doing these things, but I still get time for myself so I'm not as worn out at the end of the day. And something my husband and I actually started doing recently was at the end of the day, for about 10 minutes, we're both doing different chores that need to be done around the house. So usually he's doing dishes or taking out trash, and I'm folding laundry or sweeping the floor or whatever needs to be done. And our house is still a disaster usually, but I found that most people are pretty understanding that when you have a toddler or even just a baby living in your house, it's not going to be clean all the time. It's just an impossible standard. He does help with chores at the end of the day, and it kind of took us a while to get to the point where I was like, I'm stressed and I can't do everything, but he's stressed because he is in school and has homework and all this stuff. So we just kind of had to come to a point where we're like, okay, we're both tired, but we can both get stuff done. And whenever he comes home and I've just had a really long day, sometimes he can read it in my face and he says, okay, I'm going to take the little one. You can like go hide in your room and play on your phone or go out to Hobby Lobby. That's kind of my happy place. Go buy crafts or go do whatever you need to do for 10 or 15 minutes. And then when I come back, I feel much better and he's able to go on and do whatever he needs to do. And I can go back to taking care of the little one. So it's not every day, but it does happen. I always heard like sleep when the baby sleeps, and I hated that advice because the baby was sleeping all the time, and I can't sleep all the time. But it did come down to, well, sometimes when the baby is taking a nap and I'm really tired, then yeah, I take a nap too. Or my mom actually, she was with us when my son was born, and she helped us quite a bit in the house. And she said, when you have kids, you have to just lower your standards about what you're able to do, because you just had a baby. And even after the baby starts growing up, then you have to take care of this little one on top of everything else you're doing. So you just have to kind of change your expectations for all the things you're able to do during the day. And that's been an adjustment for me, but I'm really glad that I've been doing that, because it's helped me out to keep my sanity, to know that, okay, well, I may not get a whole lot done today, but I still got some stuff done, and I was a good mom for my little boy today, and that was enough. I think just give yourself a lot of grace and give yourself credit for what you're able to do. It's kind of restating what I said before, but you're only able to do so much. You're only one person, so just give yourself the credit for what you can do.
Hi, I'm Danielle Winter, and I'm from SoCal and a mom of 3. I have a 6-year-old daughter and twin 3-year-old boys. As a twin mom, I've gotten a lot of advice over the years. Everybody seems to be an expert on twins. And actually, even before I had my twins, people have a lot of advice, and most of it is well-meaning, but definitely a lot of it is unsolicited. But one of the things that I've read before and just it really impacted me was motherhood is a constant adjustment of embracing what our rhythm of life looks like during each season. And a twin parent once told me it doesn't get easier, it gets different. And that just really resonated with me because each stage comes with its challenges, but there's also joy in every season. And, what once was exhausting and stretching and growing us has now shifted to something else. If you're like me and your kids are a little bit older, they're not necessarily newborns, you're no longer dealing with midnight feedings and sleep deprivation, but we're now in the must push all boundaries and the meltdown phase of toddlerhood. So I just love that quote, and it's just adjusting to your new normal and figuring out what is going to work for you and your family. It might not be, what everybody else thinks it should be, but that's the beauty of having your own family is you get to decide what works for you and what works for your kids. I've always hated the enjoy every moment advice because, like, I get the sentiment behind it, but really, do I need to enjoy changing yet another poopy diaper or basically just living the same day over and over again, like the Truman Show? I think it's better to just say something like, there is something to enjoy in every stage. Or, like, for example, I'm not a huge fan of the newborn stage as a whole, but I did love certain aspects of it. Like, I did not enjoy being in oversized pads, having leaky boobs, and waking up multiple times throughout the night. But I also loved the cuddles and the slower pace of life for those first few months. People kind of give you a break when it's like, oh yeah, like we just had a baby and all of that. And you don't feel as obligated to do stuff like other social events and things like that. So just allow yourself to enjoy your baby, but also remember you don't have to literally enjoy every single moment. It's just a phase and you'll be on to the next thing. There were a lot of and I guess there are a lot of expectations that I've placed on myself and how I wanted to raise my kids, my like ideal picture of how I wanted to do things. And I think it's important to remember not to get so bogged down if you have to adjust in order to do what's best for you and your family. And what might have worked for one kid may not work for another kid. Our world is constantly changing and evolving, and so will your parenting. I just do your research and trust your intuition. You're not the same person that you were 5 years ago. So why do you think that your approach to motherhood would stay the same with all of your kids? I just think it's important that we be willing to also acknowledge that, yeah, we don't have all of the answers. And, maybe I was adamant about doing things this certain way, but then I realized, hey, that's actually not the best way or the best thing for our family. And it's okay to make adjustments.
I have 3 daughters. They are 5, 3.5, and 1. One thing that has helped me feel in control over, the family and my own emotions when my kids are declining in their own emotions is to prepare ahead of time, like have dinner prepared. A lot of times, if I can, I'll step away. I work from home, so I'll step away around 2 and I'll make dinner in the afternoon so that at 4:30 when I pick the kids up from daycare and school, dinner is ready and we can just kind of enter family mode. But with the littles, when they're home, especially like on the weekend, and it's been all day with littles at home, a lot of times when I'm feeling overwhelmed, being in the same room, I'll just put the baby down and I'll step out into another room. Or one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received from one mother to another was put them in water or take them outside. And what that means is, exactly what it sounds like. Literally, I'll pour a bath at whatever time of day and put bubbles and magnets and, whatever. I just put them in the tub and I sit down on the floor and either play on my phone or just sit there and zone off into silence. It's just a way for them to entertain themselves in a confined space and give me a minute to collect myself. Or take them outside, bring them out in the grass, get them in the sun. It's a change of scenery. Another thing that helps is to get in the car and leave the house. Even if you're just going to go drive through and get Chick-fil-A or just go drive around, just buckling them up. And then even if they're fussy, just get them out of the car, separate yourself while still being there for them. That kind of has been helpful for me. Another good piece of advice that I've received and also kind of have always tried since I had my first was to include my husband in how I'm feeling. So if I'm feeling overwhelmed at nap time or if they're not napping, I'll text my husband if he's not here. I'll kind of give him a rundown like, hey, it's a lot. I need your help. Or, when you come home, here's my emotional status. Just a little bit of communication with my partner has been really helpful so that when he comes in, he's not adding to the chaos. He's kind of swooping in and he can either take over or he can give me space, like if that's what I need. Just being openly communicative with my husband has been really helpful. And then if I need him to come in and take them, then he's got a plan. Like we both run businesses. And so we do a pretty good job of keeping our finger on the temperature of what each other needs as an individual. And then as a parent, one thing that we try to apply, sometimes it's hard to because you want to be respectful of how they are parenting, but we'll do the whole, hey, tap out, let me tap in. And that's just when like I'm kind of fuming or I'm losing patience, he'll tap in and tap me on the shoulder and I'll literally just get up and walk away. And then the same thing for him, I'll tap in, and it's just, we're a team that way. So that's also really good advice. Any advice that is leaning towards, don't worry about the routine, like let them stay up or let them eat whatever they want for dinner. Any kind of, it's really hard to stick to your routine and kind of be very rigid with the schedule because you want to be the fun mom. Anytime I try to be the fun mom, it ends horribly. They are exhausted. They're off of their routine. They're off of their schedule. They have had too much sugar or not enough water, or for whatever reason, there's an imbalance in their routine, and they're just exhausted. And it's not what they need, their little bodies need. So sometimes when you want to be the fun mom or you want to kind of get off of that routine just for fun, it's not what they need. And so sticking to the routine and being somewhat, I don't want to say rigid, but being somewhat sticking to your routine and their routine. It's just best for them. You got to think about what's best for them and rest after you put them down. You take a bath or have a glass of wine. You relax then. I run a few different businesses and I love what I do. I'm an artist and I have 3 daughters, and we want more. We were loving our family, and I really would like I have to remind myself that they need me. My first goal is to get them to heaven. Like they're my charges. And so anything else that I do in life can be done another time. I try really hard to compartmentalize and be present for my kids when they need me, because they won't need me forever. And this kind of formidable time of their life, this really dependent time, this emotionally dependent time, they look to me for how to respond when they fall and hurt themselves. When they're experiencing something for the first time, they're looking to their parents. And so it's really important to be there, even when you're trying to juggle all the other things in your life, like a job or a career or, your spouse, your social life. It's been really helpful for me to plan for the times that I know I'm going to be present with them so that I don't have to worry about all my other responsibilities. And then when I have help with them, when they're at a babysitter or when they go to school, then I can be completely present with what I'm trying to do at the time. So planning to be present is really important. I love being a mother, and I think it's important, but it's incredibly fulfilling. I can't remember who said it. It was a comedian or a podcast host, and I really feel bad for not. This is just off the top of my head, but you don't understand what it's like to be a parent until you are one. And everything is unscripted. You may think you have a plan, especially when it comes to childbirth. Oh my goodness. You may think you have a plan, and then you really learn how to let go and lower your standards, but only for your benefit, for your peace of mind. And the same goes with parenting babies, parenting toddlers, little children, and to just go with the flow. Life can be really fun if you kind of loosen up your expectations and just go with the flow.
All right, so here's some of my thoughts for moms that are feeling overstimulated and overwhelmed. First of all, I want you to know, like I said, you are not alone, and it's really normal. I think when our kids are little, and I'm speaking for myself as well, when my kids were little, I was overly exhausted and I was done being touched by everybody, including my husband. I just felt like the day was just a lot. I was carrying kids all day, all over, laundry, dishes, making sure that they were fed well, spending some time outside. And by the end of the day, you're just like, oh my gosh, like I'm done changing diapers. I'm ready to put kids to bed. And was I a grouchy mess today? Please, God, let that not be the case. And so I just want to reiterate that I think it's part of the stage that you're in. Like something that's been said to me is, right, there's a time and season for each thing. And that time and season when your kids are little, it's a lot. And there's a reason we don't have to go through it forever. And I think there too, there's a reason you're kind of thrown into it. You're thrown into this mix and there's so much expected of you. And it is a great period of growth for you and your children. And little ones are so forgiving. They are so loving. Their needs are simple. They need to be clothed and fed and loved. And really, that doesn't change as time goes on. However, those things, they do change in the way that they need those things. But when they're little, like it's all encompassing, but it's also very forgiving. So I think that's really important to remember and to understand. I too want to tell you that the time will pass and it'll pass so quick. That whole cliche, it's over in a blink of an eye, is it's so true. There is no more truer words. My boys were all 2 years apart and they were little together. At one point they were all three in diapers and it was a lot and I was super overwhelmed. And then it was gone. And I am going to get all kinds of emotional. And now I'm at a stage where I remember being so excited. Oh my gosh, when they are out of diapers, I can't wait. When I don't have to buckle somebody into a car seat, for Pete's sake, I can't wait. And I remember celebrating those things along the way. And then it is like shortly after you look back, you're like, oh my gosh, like my little babies are not so much little babies anymore. They are growing and they are changing, and it is wonderful and it is beautiful. But my husband and I were talking about this the other day, how with each stage, like you have like the death of one stage to enjoy the life of the next. And that is life in general. It's all part of the process. And I want to reiterate that it is okay to still not enjoy every part of whatever stage you're in, to feel overwhelmed and touched out and overstimulated and done. It doesn't make you a bad mom, and it doesn't mean that you're going to have regrets. It is just part of the process. And so probably, one of the best things one of my favorite things that I did during that time was I tried to take a decent amount of pictures. And I especially took pictures when I was feeling really overwhelmed or when my kids did stuff that I was like, you've got to be kidding me right now. Like when both of my boys came in just head to toe, they had been out in the backyard. I don't know what they were doing, but rather quickly had like dug into dirt and they were just head to toe, just so dirty. And they traipsed it all in through the house. And I was like, I have two options here. I can take a picture and look back on this and smile a little bit later, or I can get really frustrated and overwhelmed and think about, the laundry and the bath that needs to happen and the cleaning of the stuff while I've got a newborn and all of that. So something that I did that was really helpful was taking lots of pictures. And in the moment where you want to scream and pull your hair out, take the picture, because I promise you it will be some of your favorite memories moving forward. Another useful tip of advice that I think was good for me, and actually my mother-in-law said something to me and I wish I was better about it. I have had periods where I've been really good and periods where I haven't been as good. But she's like, no matter what, you read your scriptures every day. And so if you are here and that is something that can be helpful to you now, whether or not that's reading scriptures or you are meditating or whatever your belief is, it doesn't matter. Connecting to something greater than yourself every single day, taking that time to seek outside of yourself and seek something that can give you some peace and comfort, I think is really, really helpful. Like I said, I've had days when I've been really good at that and days, months, long periods of time where I haven't. So I think that's really good too. But taking the time to be present as often as possible, to pray throughout the day or find a place of peace. I remember even a counselor early on was like, where can you go during the day? Or like, how can you take 10 or 15 minutes for yourself every day? Like, where is your place? And mine was the shower. And I know I am not the only mom that this is the case. That is my sacred place. That is where I receive revelation. That is where I receive peace. And the shower has been wonderful. Nice, hot water, quiet, away. Even when people are knocking on the door, I could just be a little bit away, a little bit removed. That was something that I could ask my husband for at the end of the night. Like, I'm going to go take a bath for 30 minutes, or I'm going to jump in the shower for 15 minutes. This is time that I need for me. And then the other thing that I think was really helpful, and this is especially when our kids were little. So if you relate to this, I feel for you. My husband was working full time. No, He was going to school full time and working part time. And that meant that I didn't see him at all. We were lucky if we got him at the dinner table at night, and it left me like super overwhelmed all the time. But having communication with him about what I needed, or having some routines that we did together, like putting the kids down together or reading scriptures together at the end of the night, or making sure that at least we hit dinner, that was really helpful. And then asking for the help when I need it. Like, hey, I know that you are so overwhelmed and you have all of this going on. What do you need from me? And what do I need from you? And sometimes for me, that would look like, please just, I need to get out of the house, take the kids for an hour, for 30 minutes, whatever. I need to just be gone. And a lot of the times I would head to Cold Stone. Okay, let's be real. So I did a little something for myself there, going for a walk, heading to the temple for myself. Like there were some things that I just needed. And along with that, like if my husband wasn't able to help, I would hire help. And that is not always an option. I understand that. But we did, even in our like very broke state, like every Friday or every whatever, like once a week, I would hire the little girls across the street and I would take an hour or two and I would do some stuff for myself. And it would be like, I'd pay him $5 an hour. It wasn't much. Maybe now that's like $7 or $10 an hour, depending on how many kids you have and what they're available to do. But doing something like that, and then making sure that dad has some time for himself too, right? My husband's thing was like, I have to hit the gym. That is my, that's his special place. Mine was the shower, his was the gym. So we each kind of have our own things. But I guess the only other thing, and I mean, we have loads of advice, right? Some is going to be good, some is going to be not useful. So it's like you take it with a grain of salt. You take what you like and leave the rest. You try something for a while and it works really well. That's great. And then you move on to the next thing, because it's not always going to be perfect and it might not work that way. But I just want to tell you that I promise you are doing better than you think you are. In all of those ways that you feel overstimulated and overworked and stressed out, it's because you are working on being a good mom. It is because you care so much, because you love those little spirits so much and you want them to be good and you want them to have everything that they need. And that is a testament to every mom that is listening here today. So if that's something that you need to hear, please know that from the bottom of my heart, that is absolutely true. I believe that every mom is doing her best when she is working hard to be the best mom that she can be, when she is changing those diapers, when you find yourself stressed with the dishes and the laundry and the overwhelm. This too shall pass. These times will pass, and you're doing the best with what you have. So be gentle with yourself, trust the process, and know that you are a wonderful mother.